What if everything you thought was stable suddenly crumbled? Follow Joshua's riveting journey from heartbreak to discovery in a tale where secrets unearthed from the earth itself could reshape his future. Dive into the mystery and witness how a single twist of fate could change everything. Subscribe and uncover the story that will keep you guessing until the very end. The morning had started like any other Saturday, with the quiet hum of the suburb waking slowly around us. I had made coffee, a rich, dark roast that filled the kitchen with its robust aroma, hoping to share a lazy morning with Alana. Instead, she walked into the kitchen with a purpose I hadn't seen in months. Her hands, usually steady and calm, trembled slightly as she held a thick envelope. "Joshua, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady but lacking its usual warmth. She placed the envelope on the table with a care that belied the weight of what she was about to reveal. I looked up from my coffee, puzzled. "Sure. What's on your mind? Is everything okay?" She took a deep breath and pushed the envelope towards me. "I want you to read these first. Then we'll talk." I opened the envelope with a sense of foreboding, pulling out the crisp documents. The words "divorce papers" stared back at me from the header of the first page, a cold and impersonal declaration that shattered the Saturday calm. My heart sank. My hands shook as I tried to make sense of the legal jargon, but one line stood out starkly. "Petitioner does not seek any financial support or assets from the respondent." "Alana, what is this? Why are you doing this?" I managed to choke out, my voice raw with a mix of confusion and the beginning of grief. She avoided my gaze, looking out the window at the garden we had tended together. "Joshua, I'm sorry to do this so abruptly, but I've realized that I need to make a change. I don't want anything from you. No money, no property. I just need to start over." "But why? Is there someone else?" The question hung heavily in the air, laden with implications I was afraid to fully understand. Alana's silence was an answer in itself. She finally met my gaze, her eyes filled with a sadness that was almost apologetic. "Yes, there is someone else. Kevin. I didn't plan for this to happen, it just did." The room spun slightly as her words sunk in. Kevin, the successful real estate developer we had met at a business conference last year. The pieces clicked into place, each one a tiny betrayal. "I thought we were happy, Alana, or at least content. How long has this been going on?" My voice was low, strained with the effort of keeping the emotion at bay. "It's not about how long, Joshua. It's about what's right for me now. I'm sorry that it hurts, but I need to be honest with both of us. It's better for both of us in the long run," she explained, her voice firm yet gentle, trying to cushion the blow. I looked down at the divorce papers, then back up at the woman I thought I knew. "And you think abandoning our life together, our plans, everything we've built? You think that's what's best?" Alana nodded, a tear escaping down her cheek. "I do, Joshua. I really believe it's for the best." The finality in her tone left no room for argument. It was a done deal in her mind. She had moved on, even if I was still stuck trying to catch up. The room felt colder, emptier, as if her decision had already erased the life we had shared. I sat back, the unwanted surprise of the morning weighing down on me like a physical force, crushing the remnants of what I thought would be a quiet, ordinary life. The days following Alana's revelation passed in a blur, each moment tinted with the residual shock of that Saturday morning. The house, once a sanctuary, now seemed like a silent witness to my unraveling. I was left with the haunting echoes of our life together, a life that, as it turned out, Alana was all too ready to leave behind. One evening, driven by a mix of desperation and a need for answers, I started sifting through the clutter of our shared home office. Papers, old bills, photographs, they all painted a picture of a life I thought was happy, or at least content. That's when I stumbled upon a drawer that had always been hers. Curiosity overcame me, and I pulled it open. Inside, amongst various knickknacks and personal items, I found a stack of recent receipts and tickets. My hands trembled as I sifted through them. restaurants I never knew she frequented, a pair of tickets to a concert I hadn't attended. The details formed a timeline of deceit. "Why, Alana?" I whispered to myself, as if the papers could carry my question to her. Later that evening, when Alana came home to discuss logistics, things like who would take the china and who the silverware, I confronted her. The receipts lay spread out on the dining table between us, accusations laid bare in ink and paper. "What is all this, Alana?" I asked, my voice calm but the undercurrent of betrayal making it quiver. I pointed to the receipts, the tickets, the tangible proofs of her hidden life. She looked down, the lines of her face hardening as she took in the spread. "Joshua, She paused, collecting her thoughts. These were nothing at the beginning. Just coffee, just a show. But they became more. So you've been lying to me for months? Seeing him, going places, all while pretending everything was normal?" My voice rose, the hurt and anger mingling into a bitter cocktail. "Yes, but it wasn't like that at first. It just evolved. Kevin and we started as friends, and I didn't expect... Expect what? To fall for him? To leave me?" I interrupted, unable to contain the sarcasm. "Were you ever going to tell me? Or was I just supposed to find out after you were long gone?" Alana sighed, the fight seeming to drain out of her. "I don't know, Joshua. I honestly don't know. It wasn't planned. It just happened. I thought I could manage both worlds until I decided what I really wanted. And you decided on him." It wasn't a question. It was a realization, a bitter pill coated in the venom of betrayal. "Yes," she said simply, her eyes not meeting mine. "I chose him." I looked at the woman I had married, searching for the girl I had fallen in love with. But she was nowhere to be found, just a stranger with the same face. Was anything real then? Or was our marriage just a series of convenient moments for you? I asked, each word laced with a mixture of sadness and anger. Alana's face softened, and for a moment, the familiar flicker of the woman I loved shone through her pained expression. "No, Joshua. It was real. It all was. But people change. I changed. I'm sorry that it ended this way. I truly am." The room fell silent, the space between us filled with the remnants of a broken past. She gathered the receipts, her movements slow, deliberate. "I'll get my things out by the end of the week," she murmured, more to herself than to me, then turned and walked away. I was left alone, surrounded by the ghosts of a life that once was, the pieces of the past, a puzzle I no longer wished to solve. A week after Alana left, the silence in the house grew unbearable. Each room echoed memories, each corner a reminder of a shared life now shattered. In a bid to escape, I ventured into the garage where my old hobbies and pastimes lay forgotten under layers of dust and neglect. Among these was my metal detector, a relic from a phase when I thought treasure hunting could be a thrilling hobby. It now stood as a symbol of unfulfilled dreams, much like my marriage. I charged the detector, thinking a simple walk outside might clear my head. The open field behind our house, once intended for a lavish garden, was now just an expanse of wild grass waving under the gentle caress of the autumn breeze. As I swept the detector back and forth, the rhythmic beeping was oddly therapeutic, a mechanical heartbeat in the quiet afternoon. Then, unexpectedly, a sharp beep pierced the air, different and distinct. I knelt down, my hands digging through the soft, moist soil. My fingers brushed against something solid. I pulled out a coin, caked in dirt but clearly old, very old. Rushing back to the house, I washed it under the tap, revealing the intricate designs of a rare early 19th century large cent. The sight of it sparked a flicker of excitement, a feeling I hadn't experienced in weeks. That evening, I met Jerry, my neighbor and a fellow numismatist, at the local pub. I pulled out the coin, placing it on the table between our pints. "Joshua, where did you find this?" Jerry asked, his eyes wide as he picked up the coin, turning it over in his hands. In the backfield. Just stumbled upon it with the old metal detector, I replied, watching his reaction closely. This is incredible, Josh. Do you realize what you've got here? This coin, it could be worth a lot. I mean, a whole lot. The potential value of the coin hadn't truly sunk in until I saw the genuine astonishment on Jerry's face. Really? I thought it might be worth something, but something? No, Josh, not just something. We're talking a potentially life-changing find here. You need to get this appraised officially. The conversation shifted my thoughts from my failing marriage to the possibilities this coin represented. It wasn't just about the money. It was a symbol of new beginnings, a serendipitous gift unearthed from the depths of my lowest point. Thanks, Jerry. I think I will. Maybe it's time to turn things around, huh? I said, a small smile breaking through the gloom that had settled over me. Jerry clinked his glass against mine. To new beginnings, my friend. Sometimes, treasure finds us in the most unexpected ways. Returning home that night, I placed the coin on the mantel, a beacon of newfound hope in the dimly lit room. For the first time in weeks, I felt a surge of anticipation for the future. The coin, a relic of the past, had opened a door to the next chapter of my life, one filled with possibilities and a path forward from the pain. The morning after discovering the coin, the light seemed different somehow, brighter, more promising. I woke early, energized by a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in a long time. After a quick breakfast, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, diving into the world of coin collecting, a world I had once been an enthusiastic part of. My research led me down a rabbit hole of auction records, collector forums, and expert analyses. The more I learned about the potential value of the coin I had found, the more I realized just how rare and valuable it could be. The possibility of it being a significant find was both thrilling and overwhelming. Later that day, I took the coin to a local expert, a small shop tucked away in the corner of a quiet street, run by an elderly man named Mr. Thompson, known among collectors for his keen eye and honest assessments. "Ah, Joshua, what brings you here today?" Mr. Thompson greeted me with his usual warmth as I entered the shop, the bell above the door announcing my arrival. "I found something that I think might be quite special, Mr. Thompson. I'd appreciate your opinion on it," I said, carefully pulling the coin from my pocket wrapped in a soft cloth. Mr. Thompson adjusted his glasses and took the coin from me, examining it under the bright light of his desk lamp. He murmured to himself, occasionally nodding or letting out a soft "hmm." After a long moment, he looked up, his eyes twinkling. "Joshua, where did you say you found this?" "In the field behind my house, just lying there, waiting to be found," I replied, a mix of nervousness and excitement in my voice. "This is quite the find, my friend. It's a large cent, early 19th century, and in remarkably good condition. This could be worth quite a bit at auction." The news sent a wave of relief and exhilaration through me. "Really? That's amazing. How much are we talking about?" "It's hard to say exactly without more testing and authentication, but given its condition and rarity, I wouldn't be surprised if it fetched several tens of thousands, maybe more." Several tens of thousands. The numbers danced in my head, a stark contrast to the recent emotional and financial turmoil. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. What should be my next step?" "I suggest sending it to a larger auction house. They can authenticate it and handle the sale for you. They'll have the right clientele who might be interested in such a piece." Armed with Mr. Thompson's advice and validation, I left the shop feeling like a man who had just been given a second chance. On my way home, I called my sister, Ellen, to share the news. "Ellen, you won't believe what I found. It's a coin, and it turns out it might be worth a fortune." Her voice, full of excitement, crackled through the phone. "Josh, that's incredible. After everything you've been through with Alana, this could be just what you need to start over. What are you gonna do?" "I'm going to sell it. I think it's a sign, a fresh start. Maybe it's time to move on, find a new place, a new life." "That sounds like a fantastic idea, Josh. Let me know how I can help, okay?" Will do. Thanks, Ellen. Hanging up, I felt a smile stretch across my face. For the first time in weeks, hope wasn't just a concept. It was tangible, almost within reach. As I drove home, the coin seemed to weigh not just in my pocket but in my spirit, a delightful burden, heavy with potential and promise. The house felt different as I moved through it now, more like a shell of memories than a home. With each room I cleared, each drawer I emptied, the weight of the past seemed to lift, replaced by a bittersweet acceptance. Packing was not just about stowing away items. It was about packing away years of joy, pain, and shared dreams. I started in the living room, the center of our home's shared experiences. Old photographs, books we both loved, movies watched on countless lazy evenings, all had to be sorted. I held up a photo of us in Greece, the sunset painting our smiling faces in golden hues, a stark reminder of better times. "Thought I might find you buried under a pile of memories," came a voice from the doorway. It was my best friend, Mark, his presence a welcome break from the loneliness of the task. "Just going through the remnants of a past life," I said, forcing a smile as I put the photo aside. "Let me help," Mark offered, walking over to a stack of books on the coffee table. "You planning on keeping all these?" "I don't know. Most of these were Alana's favorites." My voice trailed off, the reality still piercing. Mark picked up a well-worn copy of Pride and Prejudice, a bookmark still nestled in its pages. "She always did love her Austen. What about this one?" I took a deep breath, the decision painful but necessary. "Donate it. Let someone else enjoy it." As we worked, the pile of boxes grew, each filled with pieces of a life I needed to move past. We worked mostly in silence, the task requiring more emotional effort than physical. When we reached the bedroom, a different kind of heaviness settled around us. Here, the intimacy of our shared life was most palpable. The wardrobe still held Alana's clothes, her scent faint but unmistakable on her favorite scarf. Mark noticed my hesitation at the wardrobe. "Want me to handle this part?" I nodded, grateful. "Yeah, thanks, man. I think I need a break anyway." Stepping out into the garden, I was greeted by the cool evening breeze. The garden had been Alana's project, her escape. Now, the flowers still bloomed, seemingly unaware of the upheaval in the human lives around them. I sat on the bench we had installed last spring, the wood still shiny and new. My phone buzzed, a text from Alana checking on the progress of packing. I typed a quick reply, keeping it neutral. The phone felt heavy in my hand, a conduit to a connection I was about to sever permanently. Returning inside, Mark had finished with the wardrobe. "I've packed most of it. There are a few things you might want to look at before deciding." I nodded, my heart heavy, but my resolve steady. "Thanks, Mark. I'll handle it from here." As he left, I turned back to the task at hand, each item sorted, bringing me a step closer to letting go. The finality of it all was daunting, yet liberating. The future awaited, undefined and uncertain, but mine to shape. By nightfall, the house was nearly empty. The echo of my footsteps a stark reminder of the solitude that awaited. Yet, amidst the emptiness, there was a glimmer of hope, fueled by the discovery of the coin and the potential new beginnings it represented. Tomorrow, I would call the auction house. But tonight, I allowed myself one last look at the past, before turning off the lights and closing the door on this chapter of my life. The day of the auction arrived with a mix of nerves and excitement vibrating through my veins. The rare coin, nestled securely in its protective case, felt heavier than ever as I walked into the grand auction house downtown. The air was thick with the anticipation of bidders, a crowd gathered from all walks of life, each person curious or intent on their own treasures. I checked in at the registration desk, where a kindly woman with sharp glasses and a clipboard greeted me. "Mr. Joshua Miller, correct? We have your lot listed as number 147. It's quite the buzz among our collectors today." "That's good to hear," I replied, trying to mask my anxiety with a half smile. "Let me show you to the viewing area. You might want to see the competition and perhaps get a feel for how the auction will go, she suggested, motioning for me to follow her through the bustling room. As we passed display cases filled with antiques and other valuables, the reality of the situation hit me. The coin wasn't just a piece of metal, it represented my future, a clean break from the past and possibly a fresh start. The auctioneer began with smaller lots, building the room's energy with each sale. My hands were sweaty by the time lot 147 was up. I took a seat in the back, trying to remain inconspicuous among the eager bidders. Ladies and gentlemen, lot number 147, an early 19th century large cent in exceptional condition. Let's open the bidding at $20,000, the auctioneer announced, his voice booming through the hall. The bidding started briskly, with numbers climbing swiftly. $25,000, $30,000. My heart raced with each increment. At $45,000, the room's intensity grew. Only 2 bidders were left, each determined to own the piece. A man in a sharp suit on my right raised his paddle. $50,000. The woman on the left countered without hesitation. $55,000. The man paused, considering, then lifted his paddle again. $60,000. The auctioneer looked around the room, his gavel poised. Going once, going twice, sold for $60,000 to bidder number 204. A round of applause filled the room as the coin was sold. I felt a momentary daze, as if the gavel had closed not just on the bidding but on a chapter of my life. After the auction, the woman who had competed for the coin approached me. "You're the consignor, aren't you?" she asked, her eyes kind yet piercing. "Yes, that was my lot," I confirmed, still reeling from the outcome. "It's a beautiful piece. You must have quite the story about how it came into your possession," she remarked, her curiosity evident. "It found me at a time when I needed it most," I admitted, feeling a connection in our shared appreciation for the coin. "It's more than just a coin to me. It's a new beginning," she nodded understandingly. "Treasures have a way of doing that, don't they? Well, congratulations on your sale. I hope it brings you what you're looking for." "Thank you, I think it will," I replied, feeling a sense of closure as I watched her walk away. The drive home was a blur of relief and contemplation. The coin was gone, but in its place lay a newfound wealth, not just in financial terms, but in possibilities. I could now pay off lingering debts, consider moving to a new place, maybe even start a small business as I had always dreamed. The auction had not just sold a coin, it had opened a myriad of doors for my future. The weeks following the auction were a whirlwind of activity and decision-making. With the proceeds from the coin safely deposited into my bank account, I felt empowered to make choices that were previously beyond reach. Each decision carved out a path toward a new beginning, a future crafted from my own desires rather than the remnants of a shared past. One sunny morning, I sat in a bustling cafe downtown, a notebook open in front of me filled with plans and possibilities. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sound of lively conversations around me. I was sketching out ideas for a small business, a dream that had lain dormant as life had taken other turns. My phone buzzed, pulling me from my thoughts. It was Mark, calling to check in. I answered with a smile, eager to share my plans. "Hey Josh, how's the life of a newly minted wealthy man treating you?" Mark's voice was light and teasing. "Better than I expected," I laughed. "Actually, I'm working on some plans right now. Thinking seriously about that cafe I always wanted to open." "A cafe, huh? That's fantastic. You always did make a mean espresso. So, where are you thinking of setting up shop?" "I'm looking at a few locations downtown. There's a nice spot on 7th Avenue. It's small, but has a lot of character." "That sounds perfect for you. If you need a taste tester or just some muscle to help set things up, you know who to call." "Will do, Mark. Thanks. I might just take you up on that soon." We chatted a bit more before saying our goodbyes, and I felt a renewed sense of purpose as I hung up. The support of a good friend was invaluable. With my notebook full of ideas, I decided it was time to start taking concrete steps. I reached out to a real estate agent who specialized in commercial properties. Later that afternoon, I met her at the potential site on 7th Avenue. The agent, a sharp and efficient woman named Diane, greeted me warmly. "Joshua, it's a pleasure to meet you. I think you're going to love this space. It has just the right vibe for a cozy cafe." We walked through the empty storefront, and I could almost hear the clink of coffee cups and the murmur of conversations. The high ceilings and large windows made it feel welcoming and open. "I can see it," I said, more to myself than to Diane. "This could really work." "Great. If you decide to move forward, I can help you negotiate a lease that fits your budget and plans," Diane offered, her professionalism reassuring. "Thank you, Diane. Let's proceed with that. I want to make this happen." As I left the potential cafe location, the reality of my new venture began to sink in. I was starting over, but this time it was on my own terms. The pain of the past months hadn't disappeared, but it had begun to transform into something else, something that felt a lot like hope. Driving home, I felt lighter than I had in months. The road ahead was uncertain and sure to be filled with challenges, but it was mine to travel. The thought of opening Joshua's Java, a place of community and warmth, filled me with anticipation. This wasn't just a new chapter, it was a whole new book waiting to be written. The morning air was crisp and filled with the scent of change as I loaded the last of my boxes into the moving truck. The house, now empty, echoed with the memories of a life that was no longer mine. It was time to move on, and although a twinge of nostalgia tugged at my heart, the excitement of what lay ahead was far stronger. Mark was there, as always, a steadfast presence on this significant day. He clapped me on the back as he closed the back of the truck. "New beginnings, huh?" he said, a smile in his voice. "Absolutely," I replied, locking the door of the house for the last time. "It feels good, moving forward." "I bet it does. And hey, if you need help setting up the cafe, I'm just a call away." "Thanks, Mark. I'll definitely need it. It's a big project, and honestly, I'm a bit nervous." "You? Nervous? Nah, you'll do great. You've got a knack for making places feel like home. That cafe is going to be a hit." I smiled, grateful for his confidence. "I hope you're right." We drove to my new apartment in the city, close to where Joshua's Java would soon come to life. The apartment was smaller, but it was bright and modern, with a view of the bustling streets below. As I unpacked, the reality of my new life began to sink in. I was really doing this, starting over, not just in theory, but in practice. Later that week, I met with Diane at the cafe location to finalize the lease. She greeted me with a folder full of papers and an encouraging smile. "Ready to make it official?" she asked, handing me a pen. "More ready than ever," I answered, signing the documents with a steady hand. "Congratulations, Joshua. You're now officially a business owner," Diane said, shaking my hand firmly. "Thank you, Diane, for everything." Walking through the empty cafe space later, I envisioned where each table would go, where the counter would be, the menu board. It was all coming together. A phone call interrupted my planning. It was my sister, Ellen. "Hey, big entrepreneur, how's it going?" Ellen's voice was bright and full of enthusiasm. "Hey, Ellen, it's really happening. I just signed the lease for the cafe." "That's amazing, Josh. I'm so proud of you. Mom and Dad would have been thrilled." "Yeah, I like to think they would have been," I replied, feeling a pang of sadness mixed with joy. "Listen, Josh, I've got some vacation time saved up. How about I come down next week and help you get things set up?" "That would be fantastic. I could really use the help, and it would be great to have you here." "Perfect. I'll book my flight. This is going to be a great adventure, Josh. Just you wait and see." Hanging up, I felt a surge of gratitude for my family's support. This venture wasn't just a fresh start for me, it was a beacon of hope and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As I stood in the middle of what would soon be Joshua's Java, I realized that this was more than just a new chapter. It was my declaration of independence, my way of reclaiming my life, and forging a path filled with passion and possibility. The road ahead might be uncertain, but it was mine, and I was ready to see where it would lead. Hey listeners, if you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date with our latest content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. You definitely won't want to miss what's coming up next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video with sweet cheating stories.